People that watch or play sports of any kind know that it's an experience like no other. However, they also know what becomes of the injuries and the players affected by them. Injuries are the most serious and quite possibly the most prominent underlying problem of any sport at any level, even a backyard football game or a street basketball game. Whereas the pros or collegiate level injuries get more, they're more out there, they're more known. Any injury can be devastating to anybody, and especially in football where injuries are almost common in every game of every type of severity. Anything can happen. Injuries are nothing to be taken lightly, and while I love the game and have little against it, there needs to be a little bit more emphasis on the forefront for injuries because they ruin players' careers. Speaking of which, multiple injuries across multiple years of football have ruined young stars, grizzled veterans, and just breakout players' careers way sooner than they should have. For instance, Joe Theismann, he was a standout at Notre Dame, played quarterback, standout at Notre Dame, was drafted by the NFL, but chose to play for the CFL instead for his first 4 years. And after a couple years in the CFL, he decided to come play for the NFL and played for the team he was drafted by the Washington Redskins. He played quarterback for them and even won them a Super Bowl. But on one fateful night, on a Monday Night Football game in November 1985, he would take his last snap of professional or football, period. Lawrence Taylor, one of the best defensive players ever, was lined up against Joe Theismann that night. And on one play, Lawrence Taylor was not tricked by the play action that Joe Theismann presented and wrapped him up for a sack. However, in doing so, he quite possibly caused one of the worst injuries in football history. In sacking him, Joe landed on his leg and snapped his tibia and fibula so bad that even one of the bones was poking through the skin. And there was scares and thoughts that Joe might never walk again. And while Joe did walk again and did have, a decent career, it was not in playing football. While he was a broadcaster for the NFL and did many useful things with his life, his football career ended just like that. And there was nothing to prevent it, honestly, but maybe there could have been something to prevent it. Another very good emphasis and example of a terrible injury that ended a career and eventually a life is Roy Lee Chucky Mullins from the University of Mississippi. He was a cornerback with high standards, a high-level, highly respected recruit out of high school. Played for the University of Mississippi and was very well loved by all of the players, fans, coaching staff, everyone he met in life. Just a wonderful person. But on one play against Vanderbilt, he went to make a hit, and in doing so, basically just destroyed 4 of his vertebrae and was unable to move, and ended up being a quadriplegic, only being able to move his eyes, lips, and barely moving his head at all. And a little while later, 2 years after his injury, he died of pulmonary edema. It was something that came from his injury and could not have been prevented. It was just too bad of an injury. And so he ended not only his career in football, which was very promising, and he was only in college, so he was only like our age, 19 to 22, and died at the age of 26, I think it said. Another thing that not only do the players have any effect of these injuries, but what is being done to prevent these injuries and help, limit the amount that, is being caused. Penalties have in every type of, there's fouls in basketball, there's red cards in soccer, and there's penalties in football that prevent injuries, basically. Injuries and foul play in any sports. Such as it's illegal to rough the passer or the kicker, which means you cannot tackle the passer and you cannot tackle the kicker after the ball has left their possession. And you cannot grab the face mask of a player to prevent from whiplash. Equipment is also administered, such as a helmet, shoulder pads, thigh pads, knee pads, and optionals such as a flak jacket, a back pad, a neck pad, and feet ankle wraps. They're administered to deter from injuries and increase player safety. Do they work all the time? No, but is it an attempt, and is new technology being released to increase the amount of safety for the players and decrease the amount of injuries? Yes, and is making very good strides for the NFL and for any type of level of football. In conclusion, while sports are the most interesting thing I've ever come in contact with in watching and playing, the spectacle isn't always safe. Multiple promising athletes have had their careers taken from them despite everything being done to prevent these injuries. What I ask of each of you is, if you play sports, be very cautious on your health and what you do when you play football, and control what you can control, as an old coach of mine used to say. Controlling what you can control means don't do anything stupid that would hinder you of playing the game that you love to play. And to those of you that don't play, to those that watch, be supportive as possible to those that have been affected by injuries, even if it's just a concussion, which can be very, very bad, or if it's like Joe Theismann's case or Boyle Mullen's case. Just be supportive of the players and supportive of the families around them.